Welcome, Herriman City, to another City Council recap. Last night was a very long and arduous City Council meeting with several very important items on the agenda. So, should we just jump right in and get started?
Sure can.
Okay, so we started off at 5:30 with our work meeting, and it went right into our Game Pointe property, which is a 6-acre property located off of Herriman Main Street, just north of the Auto Mall. And originally this property was supposed to be a large entertainment complex, but with COVID, it kind of changed the dynamics and changed what the developer felt like they would be able to do with the property. So tell us a little bit about the new concept that they presented to council last night and what council needs to consider as they review that new.
Yeah, so this project is one of those fun little special projects that the city carved out of their Auto Mall district to bring a focal point or attraction to the city. And so that was our main purpose and goal. This was before I was on council, but as we got into it this year, we realized that that wasn't probably a feasible thing for the developer, nor for the city or for the residents. So we asked them to come back and bring something viable, something that they would be proud of and help out with. And I think what they brought back isn't too far off of what we're going to end up with. It is some nicer retail models with more open floor plans for the possibility of a larger restaurants, gaming type facilities, not your 40,000, 50,000 square foot one tenant facility, but multi-tenants, multi-uses, and possible office space. I think we're down the right path. We haven't got there yet, but I think there's a lot to consider on it to make sure it meets our vision and goals. And I think the developing group that's on it has some really great ideas.
So do you think that this new concept that they've proposed, is it something that will actually complement the area over there?
Yeah, and it's going to actually increase visibility of businesses the way they have it set up, the proposed way. This concept isn't a new concept. They use it in cities all around us: Saratoga Springs, American Fork, Santaquin. All these cities are having the similar type of development structure, and you see it in a vibrant community and vibrant retail atmosphere.
Nice. So we look forward to hearing more about what their concept is and what council decides on how to move forward with that project. I know that there's some deadlines that they have to meet and everything has to kind of be put in place before the end of January 2023. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've given them a opportunity for a couple of years on this land purchase agreement to come to us with this concept and fulfill. And that timeline is coming up quicker than anybody wants, but it actually benefits us and adds a little pressure to them to bring us a good package, a good deliverable item sooner than later. So you will see this probably in the next few meetings, definitely before the end of the year. I'm sure we'll have a lot more talks on it. So
good, we look forward to that. So next was kind of the main topic of the night, which was the Auto Mall. And the discussions on this involved 4 separate parcels. And this discussion not only was in the work meeting, but it also then filtered into the main portion of the general meeting where some very important decisions were made last night.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion last night, particularly, but the last 9 months that we've been here, almost every meeting or every other meeting has been centered around the Auto Mall. This is a project that we've been working on for a lot of years. We set aside this land and zoned it specifically for the Auto Mall district, and it's grown a little bit to a couple of different parcels outside of that area, but all of them complement the main development.
So one of the first discussions that involved the Auto Mall was we had a public hearing for a PID, which is a public infrastructure district. So tell us a little bit about that. What does it mean for the project? Why would the city support it? And what does it mean for the community?
So PIDs are a vehicle to fund the infrastructure. What that does is it's a taxing district or taxing area in increment where you can get into. It works really good with commercial areas because it doesn't impact you as a resident. It impacts the people that will have retail or work on that area. There's also a couple other PIDs that we've approved in the city, but this one specifically for the commercial area on the Auto Mall makes absolute sense. What it does is it gives them the opportunity to bond and use that PID as a bonding tool to help them get funds to get the infrastructure in, the roads in, get the sewer, all the water, all the stuff you need to build on top of. So.
Okay. Okay, I think that helps kind of clarify what a PID does and why it would be used. And I think that council actually really took a lot of time in considering doing this, because I know they had a lot of concerns if residential would have been included. But the fact that this only involved commercial property made a big difference.
Yeah, and that's probably the only way we would have done that in this area, is because it doesn't directly affect you as a citizen. It doesn't increase your taxes, and so it's the best way to help the builder and the developers out, and also get infrastructure in the ground quicker than later. So.
And then we moved on to, there were some amendments requested last night in regards to permitted land uses for the Auto Mall District. So what were those land uses? What were the specifics about that? What did it include? And was it for specific parcels, or was it just in general?
Yeah, so the Auto Mall District is zoned, it's special zone, and it has a limited amount of permitted uses. When we first did it, we were looking at new cars only, but through the area, we thought that a used car would be an auxiliary service. You trade your car in to the dealership, and then they can resell that if they so choose. But that wasn't in our code, so we had to make some text changes there and some amendments there. But also the permitted uses on the AMSD, we also wanted to have a non-permitted uses or excluded or prohibited uses. And so those included like church and schools. What else was there? Some vocational school, places of worship, mostly just churches and school on the AMSD, the Auto Mall Service District area. But on the other parcels, they're zoned C2, which is a commercial district, and they have a whole table of permitted and conditional uses. We also wanted to go look through that and select the ones we don't want there, next to residential, next to neighborhoods, or in this limited commercial space that we have left. So again, we carried over no churches, no schools, no golf courses on 5 acres. Sorry guys, it's a little small anyways. But no protective services, no daycares, no mortuaries, personal care services, stuff like that. So we could really tailor these commercial zones to fit what the city needs and is lacking. So.
Trying to keep it true to what you have visioned there, what the city's intent is for that area.
Correct, yep.
Nice. There was also, you approved MDAs for the Auto Mall, so the AMSD, the Crescent parcel, the garden plots, and then an MDA was discussed for north of Miller Crossing, so the property to the north of the AMSD. So the 3 were approved. The one for north of Miller Crossing was continued. Tell us a little bit about what the conditions were that the others were approved on, and why the property north of Miller Crossing was continued.
Awesome. So the MDAs, the Master Development Agreements, are all tools and mechanisms to help the city and the developer get certain insurances and what and how things can happen. And through that process and the robust debate that we had through the last several months, and especially last night if you wanted to tune in, we had great community involvement as well on certain pieces and parcels. But the Auto Mall Service District, it was pretty easy to get that MDA. It was pretty clean, cut and dry. There wasn't any disagreement on what and how we all thought that was going to happen. So that one was clean and clear. There is a garden plot just to the west that is zone C2, but we're doing an Auto Mall AMSD overlay on the MDA. A lot of acronyms there, sorry. So what that does is it gives them the tool to help them develop in that same district area with that same or similar MDA overlay. And gives them insurances as well, what they can and can't do. It also helps us know that they're not going to build a church or school there. And that garden plot one was pretty easy.
And the garden plot property, that is the one that is just off of Main Street as you're turning into the Auto Mall District. So right there where that car wash is.
Correct.
Is it directly to the west of the car wash? Is that the garden plot?
That would be the frontage on Main Street right there. So it's not quite on the commercial corner of 126 and Main Street. It's just about a half of lot in on that to the northwest of that car wash. And it's a great location. We have a lot of interest in that location. It's a large area. And I think you're going to see something come up very quickly after last night's meeting. And when you see building going there, we'll be able to announce what's going in there. The tricky one is the crescent piece.
Yes. Now, what's the location of the crescent piece in proximity to the AMSD and the garden plots?
It's about a half mile west on 126 South. It's not quite to the corner of, what is that, 6,000? 5,600,
Right,
sorry.
It's just short of 5,600.
Yeah, just short of 5,600. So the raw dirt actually goes to 5,600, but the crescent piece is just behind that corner there. Another owner owns that corner lot. But that crescent piece, it is where the berm or impacted soils are sitting right now, and we have a lot of things going on with that lot. It's backed up to residences. It's backed up to a lot of homes, and if you have ever been over there, you can stand on top of the berm and see over their fences, see into their backyards. It's not, there's a lot of little complication things with that. And a lot of our meeting last night was focused on the crescent piece.
Right, there's some soil issues.
Mm-hmm. And we know that, the city knows that, the EPA knows that. A lot of it's from our partners to the west, Kennecott. And a lot of many years ago, things weren't done as they are done now. So we're cleaning up a lot of those areas. This area has been a great concern to not only council, but staff and residents, even the builder. So we knew this selling the land, that it was impacted. The purchaser knew that as well. So we had a great deal, and they brought us a great product to put there. And when we see this part of the dealership program, part of the boat facility, and what they're planning to do there, it's going to be a great ad. And the developer last night, the partner, came and actually suggested we modify our setbacks to pull the buildings farther away from property lines, lower the height. So I think it was a win-win. It was a little bit more of a negotiation tool last night from when he brought it to us, and it makes sense. I mean, if we can limit the height and limit the impact on their backyards and possibly remit some of that soil to get the certain heights, I think it's going to be a great product there.
And regardless, there's still EPA standards and laws that they have to follow.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, we had a lot of comments saying, hey, put that in the MDA, put that language in the contract. Well, we can, but it just does it again. They have to follow all the laws. They have to follow all the EPA standards, state standards, local standards. And then we have to make sure that they do that as a city, because we're the entrusted person of that property, correct, right now. And so of those impacted soils. So
those were the three that actually the MDAs were approved. But
Yep.
then now we get to north of Miller Crossing, and that one was continued. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So north of Miller Crossing is just south of Winco area, south of that Anthem development. There's a little creek there, and we've got the area of this is still zoned auto mall district, and that's part of the auto mall, but we're carving out that piece as a potential area to have more of a commercial or flex space or a different type of feel than another auto mall. Hopefully we can fill all the auto mall currently and then use that piece later. There was some triggering mechanism, what if this, then that sort of thing for the developer. And I think the developer said, you know what, let us perform. We're going to bring you the 2-3 dealerships that we have on the line right now and figure out where we're going to go from there. When we perform, then we can come back to the table and talk. So we continued it until January. And we'll revisit that in January. And if they have performed by then or they have new information, we'll look at it again. I think it's going to be a great area build out for whatever we bring there. It may just be some auxiliary services for the dealerships, fix-it repair shops, oil change shops, something around that line that is items and services we need. We just we can't see that far down the line right now. So
I think there were some great discussions last night between council and even with the developer regarding the process moving forward on this project and on these properties. I think it seems like it's really being well thought out, and council's really being mindful of what it is that they want to see and really making sure that they're putting in the best possible development for their community.
Yeah, and we're trying to go from what the council before us had visioned, right? They set this land aside for a certain goal. And although they can't tell us exactly what to do or how to do it, we think they had a good idea. We think they preserved the land properly, and we want to help fulfill that. And sitting down and having a couple long meetings and negotiating and hashing it out is what we need to do. And the citizens, the handful that were there last night, thank you. get involved sooner as well. A lot of these processes take a long time, and sometimes when you see it get noticed, or when you come out, or when your neighbor starts talking about it, it's 6-7 months down the road. But again, your input last night was beneficial, and it helped the developer know it just wasn't council. It just wasn't us saying we have constituents that are concerned, emails. Coming to meetings is a critical part of being involved in the process. Even if you email me or any of the council members or the mayor or the city or staff, come to the meetings, just voice your opinion, even if it's just being in the seat and not doing public meetings or public hearings. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a really unique development right on this strip of Mountain View corridor. It's something that we don't have on this end of the valley. So
it's going to be a main focal point and a draw. Instead of going to other cities and other auto malls, you're going to be like, oh, let's go to Herriman. Let's go. I think we're bringing out some of the best GMs in the auto industry. These guys are amazing people, amazing businessmen, and I think you're going to see that land turn real quickly. Not only will that help increase the restaurant space and the capacity there, but just all over retail in the area, you're going to have a draw. So it's going to be exciting.
Great discussions, long discussions, but really solid discussions that really will benefit the community in the long run.
Yeah.
So finally, we had the Teton commercial MDA. That was approved. Is there anything specific that needs to be noted in that MDA, or was it pretty standard? And where is Teton commercial?
So yeah, this Teton commercial is something we've been talking about and looking at for a long time. It is directly west of the high school of Herriman High off 118th and 6400, or Mustang Trail Way. Is it Mustang Trail? Mustang Trail. So it's right there on that commercial corner. As you're headed west, you can go to Bullfrog or out towards Bacchus. This development is just an amazing, I think it's going to be great out there because there's not a lot of commercial out there.
Right.
There's almost zero commercial out there. So if they bring in certain tenants, I think our high school students are going to benefit really well. Even if they bring a restaurant pad or something out there as well. They do have amazing trail connectivity from east to west there to help the students get back and forth. We do have Advantage Arts Academies right to the west of them as well. So we have new development, new houses going in there as well. So I think the location is right on the border of South Jordan and Herriman. And anytime we have commercial on our side of the border, we love it. So
we do. Okay, well, I think that was kind of the wrap up for last night's meeting. The next city council meeting is scheduled for October 26th, and I believe that there is a special city council meeting that's being held, a strategic planning meeting on October 19th. What does the council hope to accomplish at that meeting?
So the strategic planning meeting is going to help us. It gives us an opportunity to meet without public, without having to notice the meeting, but coming in and talking and speaking about what our goals and visions are for the community, how we want to have our city manager work and function with us, and what we can do better as a council, also, and what we want to see better from the city staff and how that works. I think doing that, I mean, it's like basically a trust building exercise as a group committee. Like you go out to a ranch or farm or cabin, and you sit down and you have a powwow and you figure out what you need to do to move your business or operations forward. And this is just on the city government level. And I think it gets overlooked a lot because this is a part-time job. And so a lot of people, we get busy with our lives and we don't give it as much focus as we need to sometimes. So having this time carved out just to sit in a room and visit and discuss and see where we want to take the city, I think it's a critical point.
Yeah, so make sure that you stay tuned. Once that meeting takes place, we'll keep the public informed on the discussions that were had, the goals that were set, and the city will continue to track the progress so that you can see all of the efforts of your city council and how they're coming to light. With that, it looks like that's a wrap for this city council recap. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.